Hey, it's A Humble Collector here. In today's video, we're taking a look at the funeral invitation for Heini Uwira. Before I go into showing you guys this funeral invitation and talking about it, this is an SS card. So because of that, I do translate these cards verbatim. There's going to be stuff that I'm saying here that I obviously do not believe or agree with regarding the SS. But I translate these cards as written because I think the words that were chosen for the cards by the families of the soldiers do add some interesting context. Now, going into the card itself, we can actually see this has some of that nice faux lace design on the border that I talked about in a previous video. Interestingly, this card and the other one, I believe, were both printed by the same individual, which was Sumar of St. Polten. So possibly they were just the only printers I found that made these cards, not really sure. But going to the card itself, we have a photo of Heini, which is a nickname for Heinrich, up in the corner here. And then going from the top, after 18 months away from home, hoping for the first reunion, we received the terrible news that our dearly beloved son and brother, SS Sturmmann Heini Uwira, volunteer of the Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, died a heroic death for the Führer, people, and fatherland in the heavy fighting in the East shortly after his 19th birthday on March 23, 1944. Now, I did not find a casualty record for Heinrich. However, we do know, based off of the writing on his card here, that he was a member of the Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, or the 1st SS Panzer Division. Now, the Leibstandarte is an interesting division because Leibstandarte literally means lifeguard. They started life back in the 30s as Hitler's bodyguard. Their origins are quite literally in the men that were guarding Hitler himself. And then eventually, over the course of the Third Reich's evolution, they eventually become their own combat division in the Waffen-SS. So because of that, these guys really were considered like the elite of the elite. But I use the term elite loosely. When we talk about World War II, there's all kinds of different units and groups that we call elite for different reasons, right? So, for example, from the U.S., we have the 82nd and 101st Airborne, right? At the time, they were elite because they were getting all this extra training to jump out of planes into combat, which, up until World War II really hadn't been done before. And we still consider them elite today because they're excellent combat records during the Second World War. Now, if you have just like a pop culture read of history, the SS are like the elite of the German army, but I've found that really not to be the case. If you actually read through the SS's combat record throughout the war, it's really nothing spectacular. I can think of quite a few regular German army units that probably deserve to be called elite more than the SS did. But, the propaganda being the armed part of the Nazi party, they have this aura about them that I don't think really lives up to the historical fact. But regardless, Heinrich was part of this, very illustrious unit, and as a result, his family decided to put it on his card here, which is good, because like I said, I don't have the casualty record for Heinrich. I couldn't find anything on him, so this is the only way that we know what unit he was actually in. Now, this was not a good time for the 1st SS Panzer Division when Heinrich was killed. So during this time, this unit, along with the rest of 1st Panzer Army, was stuck in the Kamenets-Podolsky Pocket in the south there of the Eastern Front. And he would be killed prior to the unit actually breaking out of this encirclement. This was a mass encirclement. The German army did eventually fight its way out of there, but all of the units involved were horribly mauled, including the Leibstandarte. In fact, after breaking out of the pocket, they would be transferred to Belgium for some R&R, and I couldn't find like a casualty list for how many men they lost in the Kamenets-Podolsky Pocket. However, their vehicle manifest tells us that they got destroyed. They basically lost every armored vehicle they had. They were down to like a few dozen half-tracks. They lost all their tanks, basically. They were just completely destroyed. And so it would take a while before they were built back up and being able to actually be deployed back into combat. So even though we don't know the exact circumstances of Heinrich's death, that's kind of the situation that was going on when he was killed. Now, moving to the bottom of the card here. He left us with a heavy heart, and we hope to see him again. But our pain is greater now because this can no longer happen. Your eyes are moist, your lips are trembling. We cannot believe that you had to leave us so young and full of life. You were so good, but you died far too soon. Such a noble heart is never forgotten. In deep sorrow from his parents, brother, and all relatives. And at the very bottom, his happy, sunny nature cheered many hearts. Anyone who knew our dear Heini knows how hard fate hit us. We will never forget him. And then we can see here this was issued at Pergstall on the Erlauf in May of 1944. Overall, really interesting card for a unit that you definitely don't see come up very often in the death card world. So overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.